Krein from Elvis Express Radio, and I'm from Elvis 2001, and we're on Elvis Express Radio, and I have Ty Hardin with me. How you doing, Ty?
I'm doing fine.
Hey, Ty, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you were raised, what your parents did?
Yeah, I grew up in Austin, Texas. Basically, most of my life in Texas. Certainly, my career is in the service and everything was served there, and as well as my schooling. I went to Texas A&M. I became an acoustical research engineer. I went to school at Lamar in Houston, and I went to school in Austin. But I was born in New York.
Oh, that's where I am at.
In 1930, I was born. My family left New York in 2 years, so I was 2 years old, and I don't remember anything about New York.
No, well, come back and visit us. So what did your parents do?
My parents, my mother sort of vacated me with my grandparents. I was raised by my grandparents, who were furniture salesmen at a furniture store there in Austin, Texas. And we had a farm. We lived on the farm, and my grandfather went in and went to work. He was the credit manager there. And so I was raised in the farm.
Well, I was thinking maybe there was an actor in your family somewhere that, because you went into acting.
No bloody way, and there's never going to be another one.
No? Now, did you want to grow up to be an actor?
No way. I was, like I say, an engineer. I went to school at A&M and graduated from there. I went to work for Douglas Aircraft building DC-3s. DC-6, rather.
So how did the acting career come along?
Well, there was a total accident. I was living with 3 other Aggies, and we were living there in Santa Monica. And needless to say, we were having a Halloween party, and we went in to borrow costumes for that Halloween party, and a talent scout saw me and asked me to come in to see Paramount Studios about possible. They were going to have a contract. Were interested in me in acting. And of course, needless to say, that my actor friends got a little uptight and everything, and they started getting on me, and they bribed me into doing it. So I needless to say, I went in there and talked to Bill Michael-John, and then of course, needless to say, he said, "Come back in a couple of days," and I went back to work, and never realizing that they offered me a 7-year contract.
Wow.
Just right out of the clear blue sky. The name of the talent scout was a guy by the name of, I can't remember anybody's name anymore. I'm too old.
So you had a 9-year contract with Paramount Studios.
That was a 7-year contract.
A 7-year contract, yeah.
And I made some great films, like I Married a Monster from Outer Space, and I was a monster.
There you go.
Space Children, I was sitting in there in the group. Too Young for Love. I made about 4 little flicks with them, and I went on an occasion to go. It was so funny. John Wayne was doing a picture called, what was the picture he was doing, honey? Rio Bravo.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a great part in there for a young man, and I went out to Warner Brothers just on a whim to see about doing it, and needless to say, I didn't realize it, but Duke saw me, had me come right in, but they'd already cast Ricky Nelson in it.
Oh, yeah.
I went back to Paramount, not realizing that Warner Brothers bought my contract out.
Really?
Because Clint Walker walked off the show, and they needed somebody to replace Clint Walker.
Wow.
In the series Cheyenne.
Right.
So I got that job cold turkey.
Well, so you've worked with some great people. I mean, you just mentioned John Wayne. You've worked with some of the greats.
Oh, I worked with some real fine people, that's for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of them are gone now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. One of my favorite films of yours was PT 109. I don't know why. I just fell in love with that movie. I think the whole mystique of the pre-Kennedy, before he was president, and that whole thing just captured me. I just loved that film. Was that a hard film to make?
Well, we shot it down in Key West, Florida. And actually we had surveillance on the film, because actually the president sent a man down there to keep eyes on everybody and make sure that they followed the script, because he didn't want it Hollywooded up. So it became a very authentic film. And we shot there for quite a few times, about almost 3 months we were there. We had the last 6 PT boats in existence.
Wow.
two of which we tore up.
Yeah.
Remember in the picture.
Yeah.
And it was a very delightful film. And working with the people that we had down there, were all congenial, and we all worked together.
Yeah.
And it was kind of warm and hot, but it was. Well, I think it was one of the best films I've made.
Yeah. And Cliff Robertson's in it.
Cliff's a wonderful man to work with. It's funny his career never did take off.
No.
Because I thought he did such a good job in that film.
But I always liked him. Even if I saw him in a film, and I was switching to the TV and I saw him, I would stop because I always liked him.
Oh yeah, I did too. He was a wonderful man to work with, and I really enjoyed, the time I had with him.
Did you spend a lot of time in the water doing that film?
Yes, we did. I mean, actually, we did. When the boat was run over by the Japanese destroyer, it was at nighttime, and we spent a great deal of time in that water.
So you were in a swimming pool. You were out in the ocean.
We were in the ocean down at Key West. You bet.
Wow.
And of course, they had the sequence where they actually split the PT boat in half. They did that in the studio, in one of the big studios, Studio 4 actually, which is a big swimming pool about 6 to 8 feet deep.
And that was a real PT boat that they split in half.
Yeah, we actually split a good TP boat right in half.
What a shame, because I don't think there's many left.
No, there's not. If there's any, you know what I'm saying? Because like I say, we had the last 4 that I know of, that they knew of, in existence. And they weren't in that good a shape.
Yeah, that was a great, great film. Hey, while you were running around Paramount Studios or MGM or any of the other ones, did you come across Elvis Presley?
Yes, Elvis and I actually lived very close to each other up in Hollywood Hills. He was just down the street, and he and Red West and a whole bunch I became very good friends with, and so I traveled with him for a while on their tours. And I've got some pictures with he and I together. I really identify the guy. Guys, needless to say, he's another Southern boy, and we just hit it off real well together. Unfortunately, we were both working very hard, and so we didn't spend a lot of time with each other. But when we did get together, we had a good time. You'll see these pictures I've got with him, and I'm playing the guitar, and he's doing the singing.
Now, is this like the 50s you're talking about, or?
We're talking about the 50s, you bet.
Talking about the 50s, yeah. Now, what did you do when you... Well, actually, the first question would have to be, can you tell me about the first time that you met Elvis, and was he famous at the time?
Oh, yeah, very famous.
When did you meet him?
You know what? I can't remember the occasion. I did know he lived right down close to where I lived up in the Hollywood Hills off of Queens and Kings Avenue, and I'd been over to his house on many occasions, and he just invited me over.
What kind of guy was Elvis?
Oh, just laid back, real good. Unfortunately, he just got a little too far into the drugs.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Yes, unfortunately, I was.
Yeah.
I can tell you some stories on that, but I'd rather not.
Yeah.
But needless to say, I could see my life getting involved, and boy, my grandmother turned over in her grave if I got involved in drugs. I did for a while in my career, but I managed to get off of them before they did a lot of damage to me. Unfortunately, Elvis wasn't able to. He got himself in real trouble,
Yeah, can you tell me about any of the times that when you spent with Elvis and with the Memphis Mafia, with Red and Nat? What did you do? Play football and stuff, or?
Well, I went to a couple of his parties that were over his house, and spent some time with him there. I went on a couple of occasions on his tours.
Did you?
And,
wow.
Yeah, that was ball. That was always a gas with Red and the whole group around him. And it was quite enlightening for me. I just had some time off between my pictures to be with him, and living close to him. We were kind of always there. I lived right up next. I had 2 or 3 houses down from him. And that was the occasion I was with him.
So you used to actually go on short little tours with him in the early 50s?
Yeah, that's basically what I'd done once, The other times it was at his house or my house. We had parties. I'd rather not go into that too much.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That's kind of private, and I'm sure he would appreciate if anything more without his censor in it.
Yeah.
He was a very polite, a fine gentleman, and he had a Christian background. Excuse me.
That's okay.
And so did I, and I still have. And our ethics and our values would kind of rub noses with our let's say our habits and the environment that we was living in. He and like myself were totally out of our environment.
Yeah.
If he could have sang and done his thing without having to live up to the Hollywood
hype
screamers, he would have been alive today.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Yeah. Did you stay in touch with Elvis all the way up through the 70s?
No. We kind of had, my career went to Europe, and I lost total contact with him.
Oh, you did? When was the last time that you were in contact with Elvis?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, well, here comes the question that everybody hates. What were you doing and where were you when you heard Elvis had passed away?
I was in Europe when I heard that Elvis had passed away. And I know that even in Europe there was a lot of remorse, and a lot of people were unhappy, and couldn't figure out why a man so young could pass away so soon.
That's true. 42. 42 is awfully young.
He was just a kid, and he and I were roughly the same age. I was the same age as him.
Yeah.
At the time, and I thought back at the time, I think the fast life and the environment that he had put, he was forced to kind of live in, contributed tremendously to his death.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because he was such a neat person. I mean, you'd have to get to know him to know what he was. Had a good sense of humor, and and he had good people around him. Old Red West was a great guy.
Yeah, you got along with all the guys in Memphis Mafia, Sonny and Red.
I never saw him angry or unhappy. When I say unhappy, I've seen him unhappy, but not knowing it. You know what I mean? Not realizing it.
Unhappy because of things going on in his life?
Just with his life,
Yeah.
I hesitate to say much more because the time I spent with him was so small and so insignificant that I was busy with my career.
Yeah.
And our careers touched,
Yeah.
And our lives touched together.
So, what did you do after going to Europe?
I stayed in Europe for quite a while and made a lot of spaghetti westerns. I passed up the opportunity to do Fistful of Dollars.
Oh wow, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, and I'm going out to see him next week on a picture.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, he's making a western, and so I called out and they're having me out next week to chat with him. And
oh wow.
The director or whoever, I don't know.
Well, I hope you get that part. My wife was an absolute Clint Eastwood maniac.
Oh, was she really?
Yeah.
Well, I hope to get it too. It'd be nice to get back in the industry again, on a limited basis,
Yeah. Well, when did you?
The main thing I'd like to be making the films that we used to make, the good old western type.
I don't think they make them, no, Ty.
I don't think so either. But I was heard that they were making 10 or so of them, so that's one of the reasons I reactivating my career.
Yeah. When did you retire?
Well, I retired about 30 years ago, almost 20 years ago. Anyways, I got married and I had 3 children that I adopted, and I just dedicated myself to my wife and 3 children. I'd had such disappointment in my 5 other marriages.
Really? 5?
Down and determined to make one work,
Oh my goodness, you were married 5 times?
Yeah, right.
Well, I've been married once.
I dedicated myself to it.
Yeah, I've been married once, and that's fine.
That's all you need, right?
Yeah, thank God. I wouldn't know what to do without her, Ty.
Well, I'm in the same boat, and I know how you feel, and I praise God for your steadiness with her, and because it pays off. It pays off in security and stability in our lives,
Hey, out of all your films, which one do you think was the best? Was it PT 109?
No, unfortunately, some of the best films I made were kind of European. And I played with Ratiano, but I'd seen a few other of the fine European actors, and I made a couple of nice films over there. And unfortunately, they didn't get released into the States, primarily because States market was pretty coveted their own films and wouldn't let the European films come into play.
Mm.
So that's so much for that idea, right?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed PT 109. It was a good film. I thought Merrill's Marauders was a good film.
Yeah, yeah.
With Jeff Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the most underrated films is the one I made with Suzanne Plachette, Wall of Noise.
I don't even think I know that one.
That's a racehorse picture.
Uh-huh.
That I made with Suzanne and Ralph Meeker and a few other good, well-known people. But again, you never know. It's everybody's opinion, you know.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
There you go.
Hey, one more Elvis question. What do you think? What do you think of the never-ending popularity of Elvis Presley?
I think that it's very warranted. I think the man was a great and talented man. He dedicated to his profession. He unfortunately, and he had good people around him, but unfortunately, he didn't listen to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And because, like I say, if he did change some of his habits, some of his ways, he'd be here today.
Yeah.
And he'd be just as strong today as he was back there, because the man was a fully talented man.
Yeah. You never went
gave to music like he did.
And you never went to see him in concert in the 70s? Never?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, wait a minute.
Like I go see Willie Nelson.
Oh, my goodness.
I've got my favorites, too.
Yes. He's your Elvis.
Well, Willie's an icon, you know.
Uh-huh.
And again, we're both from Austin, Texas, you know, and we're just kind of cellmates in the film industry.
Well, you know, Elvis was an idol. You know, Willie Nelson is an idol. So you saw Elvis in the 70s. Where did you see him?
Boy, it's hard for me to recall right now where I did see him. But like I say, he changed a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you still?
The one I saw in the 60s and the 50s and the 60s.
Did you still enjoy the show?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I enjoy it. He's such a talent, and I really enjoy and appreciate him. I have his music, and like I say, I've got good pictures of he and I together that reminisce real well.
Did you try to meet up with him or anything? Or no, you weren't.
No, I had a career to follow, and I was about ready to walk out of my career after my last marriage. I figured, you know, I'm never going to have a life if I continue on.
Yeah. Now you're going to be going down to Elvis Week, right?
I hope so, if they get that thing on.
Yeah, and hopefully you're going to be in A Night of 1,000 Stars with Susanna Lee.
Suzanne has no problem with that. Is she having problems?
I'm not sure. We'll talk about that off tape. It's supposed to be on the 15th. No, the 16th, 17th, and the 18th, with a bunch of people that the fans can come in and get autographs from, and hopefully Mr. Ty Hardin will be one of them. And Ty, I want to thank you for doing this for me.
Well, I appreciate you calling, and hopefully other people will get a chance to appreciate this man's talent.